tried lots of different ships this patch, but many of the ones I used to run just aren't quite cutting it. The RSI Scorpius, for me, doesn't have the killing potential it used to in previous patches. I would oftentimes rely on the boom tube in order to blow up ships that were soft deathed, but with many pilots being able to eject and use different ways to rinse out their bounties and stuff, actually completing the bounty, not just destroying the opponent's ships, is become a huge difficulty, eliminating it from the list of ships I'm going to use as actively during this patch. The M80, though I like the idea of it, has a critical weakness. The meta this patch is ballistic damage, and cannon ballistics are ballistic cannons or with high alpha damage are good because those allow you to then engage with basically any target in the game. M80s are particularly vulnerable to ballistic damage with their HP pool. The Guarding QI is still a top pick, but the build really hasn't changed at all. I run it still either with laser cannons or ballistic cannons, but aside from that, there's nothing really new from it from previous build videos I do, and I want to focus on what's changed. And the QI, I was able to solo fight a Tiburon and keep it locked down for a really long period of time. I've tried a few different builds. I've tried the F8C, trying it with stealth. I realized the F8C has a size 2 power plant that makes it so you can actually get it full into stealth. I've looked at the Hornet Ghost, going to more stealth mechanics, but it just seemed too glassy in the current meta and a little bit too gimmicky. I looked at the Saber, but it doesn't have good gimbals for my game, flavor of gameplay. I went through a lot of ships. And the one that I ended up stumbling on was coming back to the Vanguard Harbinger. I actually took a break during 4.5 because I was having such a good time flying the Vanguard Sentinel. Such a good time, in fact, that I actually, I was almost better having a turret gunner fly with me than in an additional other fighters, because there aren't very many people who fly Vanguard Sentinels really well with all the different keybinds and settings and the knowledge you need to know for all the different ranges and how the EMPs work. But the Vanguard Sentinel was heavily nerfed indirectly this patch with all these sort of power creep with shields in recent patches, particularly when fighting larger vessels. Additionally, the Vanguard Sentinel really needed that boom tube to finish large targets off, because even if you soft death them, there's no way to actually finish the target. This made me go back to think about one of the different sort of, lenses in which you can view the meta that's a little bit more qualitative. And that is looking at it like a triangle. Rather than comparing apples to apples and power scaling and stuff, is looking at what kinds of ships have an advantage in different circumstances. Like heavy fighters tend to serve more as the anvil. The interceptors tend to fight more as swarm fighters, and there's a reason fighters are used in 1v1s in Arena Commander. As a meme, I put the Gladiator in the center because the buddies I was running with to fight against blockades and stuff, we would take a Scorpius and a Gladiator, and I would soft death them with the Scorpius, and then they would launch a size 5 torpedo to insta-kill the target of soft death. We take out Mantises, and even though they had multiple Idrises, the Mantises would go too far away from their groups that their fighters couldn't keep up, and then we'd blow up their Mantis, and the blockade was nothing without it. Really cool to see what just a couple of fighters can do to change the impact of the verse with a few hundred people in just a couple of moments. So don't let people ever devalue the power of what an individual can do in Star Citizen. So, but if you do that, you got to hope for luck. And I wanted to see if we can replicate that. The one thing that they did to nerf the Sentinel farther in 4.5, beyond the energy damage, is they made it in 4.6 unable to use its size 2 weapons. You couldn't change these size 2 weapons out. And the reason they weren't working is they actually did something awesome. They made it so these work on gimbals with about a 5 degrees of freedom. What that means is if this is the box in which I can aim the gimbal puck the size 5, this is about the range that I can fire these cannons, which is in the dead center of my screen. This is a huge deal because if the person is sitting in center, I can increase the amount of damage I'm doing by the order of magnitude, almost double my DPS output compared to the past. The Sentinel, while still great at potentially disabling targets in support craft, what I went back to think about is how valuable this Gladiator was in hard deathing targets before I realized you could do this eject boom tube tech. But with the boom tube tech, being able to eject and shoot people with the boom tube that were soft deaths and everything, being removed from the game. Basically, like I fought a terrapin, shot three missiles at it. I could still fly that terrapin after I killed the guy in FPS in a bunker. These torpedoes are so much more needed, and the damage of these torpedoes has been drastically increased. So, I mean, if you just look at this, this is about 10 of those. That's about 40 size 2 missiles inside there. That's a ton of damage. The other thing I realized is the necessity with all these Aegis Tiburons that there's been power creep to hammerheads. When you look at, say, a Tiburon, a hammerhead, their armor deflect value is about 500. If you look right here, 531. There's a shield absorption of about 25 to 35% or something like that. So you need like 625 plus damage or something in physical damage, maybe more than that, to actually be able to minimally damage a Tiburon. This ship checks a lot of marks. I can put a size 10 bomb in the back of it and tractor beam out and shoot things because I like to do that. I can use a deadbolt that has an alpha of 1,000 damage, meaning I'll be able to even damage an Idris. And if I can crack it far enough, these CVSAs are really interesting because these, if you look at the penetration distance here, 2.6, this allows me to potentially snipe power plants out of ships like the Tiburon once that armor is cracked far enough. This is an insanely high penetration distance when you're considering that these are just size 2s. I do consider that there may be an advantage to running the BRVSs if you're fighting a whole bunch of meteors and such. Maybe a little less if you're fighting an enmity, because if its shields are up, it may be able to block it. Things to be worth a note. Stagger fire is also kind of nerfed right now, so the CVSAs, you can't do that stagger fire quite as well as I maybe have shown in previous videos. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I want to go ahead and go through and show you the build I would run with this. The great thing about the Harbinger, and one of the reasons I'm running it, is I can run this thing stock. I can turn these things off here, and all of a sudden, this ship out of the bucket, I don't have to add in any components. I'm a threat to many ships in the game. These ballistics are strong. I already have military grade shields. Military grade shields don't gain increased HP as I up them up. These cross sections are going to be a huge threat to any multi-crew vessel that's either not paying attention, and you can dumbfire them into hangars and such. If someone's coming out of somewhere silly, you can just throw a stalker missile down their way and it would blow them up. This thing has a lot of things going for it. So the shields and the coolers, you would probably want to make these stealth. Stealth any grade is good just because stealth is going to be the most efficient for your PowerPoint. Let's just speed run this really quick. Any stealth is good. Military is good. If you want to, you could potentially run stealth if you want to min-max, but you can run shields and make it really, really low. If you're going to go through, you need to make sure you turn off your vitality, your life support over there. If you go through these, one point that someone made is you can run the industrial with a really low minimum power, and it has one of the advantages of this is that it has one of the highest min aim distances, so you can still aim at someone at 1.3 kilometers, which that's the farthest you're going to be able to hit anything anyways with these CVSAs, and that can save you a ton of power and a ton of additional signature on the side over here. Additionally, the power plant, I'm kind of going back and forth on this. One of the things to keep in mind is that damage once you go into soft death goes to your power plant. In one of the losses you'll see, part of me feels that if I actually had a stronger power plant, I might have been able to sneak out of there and maybe do a little bit more damage or get a kill. But I would be in between running either the stealth or the military just for the maximum HP. And it just depends whether or not you want to go loud or if you want to go soft. Jaeger drive that comes with default is honestly really good. If you don't want to go through the effort, you don't have to improve it. But if you really wanted to, you could go up to the Hemera, and there's some advantages that one has over it. But look at that 10 GM. It's 1 second difference. It has higher efficiency, I guess. So you take that as you will. As for the missiles over here, keep the stalkers as cross section. If you are going to adjust any of these missiles and you have a premium loadout, you're going to need to unequip all of them and then re-equip all of them and maybe change out one of these before you save your premium loadout, or else when you try to go restock with your premium loadout, it's not going to restock these. So keep that in mind. Stalkers, as for these missiles, I would make these electromagnetics if you can, but if you want to have a party time, run the Rattlers. I'd run these also as those. And then as for these are up to you. You can either run them as electromagnetic or you can run them as cross-section. Avoid infrared like the plague. They're not very good at all. One thing to keep in mind about the Vanduul missiles, they do have double the splash radius. So if you're trying to shoot air-to-ground targets, there are advantages for that. But the reason I'm not paying attention to that, even though that is a huge buff, is that all of these weapons are centered on the nose, so it's incredibly easy to shoot ground targets, which I'll show you a couple instances of in a few videos here, even though I'm using cannons. I thought this was going to be incredibly difficult, and that was actually one of the reasons we used to run the Gladiator, is it had bombs to take out ground targets, which seemed to be pretty plentiful when doing PvP missions. This is actually an incredible air-to-ground. It's like the A-10 Warthog and stuff. This basically is Star Citizen's A-10 Warthog because of how those weapons converge. It basically shoots like a shotgun into the ground, and one of them is dead center. If you have questions about this build, let me know. You can send me a DM or talk to me on Discord or join one of our different communities. I'm part of Alkaline Rangers or FFK, or I'm on a ton of other people's PvP Discords and such. Which leads me to talk about this. You're like, what the heck is Alkaline Rangers and stuff? This is something I've really wanted to launch for a while, which is called the SOS Network. Part of the things that I see as a problem is emergent gameplay is really hard to find in Star Citizen. You can see the manifesto of this thing like this. It's super, super long, ridiculously overkill. But all this emergent gameplay, oftentimes find opportunities for it where realistically I'm just death marching basically off a cliff in hopes that some random person will help me. And maybe 1 out of 15 times someone does come and help me. And they come in an eclipse and they like size 9 torp a whole bunch of like Idrises or Polarises or Perseuses. And it happens every now and then. I'd like to make that more systematic. And if you guys want to join in that, DM me, and that'd be super awesome. This is the ad of this video, because this video is definitely not getting monetized or anything with Thunderstruck ACDC. So if it was, it'd probably make $5 or something like that. Alkaline Rangers, this is a new org and stuff. Some of my friends founded it and started it and everything. A lot of them are part of different orgs and everything. Basically, anyone is going to be accepted into this organization stuff. This is basically to get direct access to the SOS network and stuff. This does mean that there will probably be some bad actors and stuff in this, but the SOS network, we're not going to launch unless it's a last-ditch thing. And if everyone's already dying there anymore, like a few bad cookies and actors isn't gonna. It's just beating a dead horse for those people at that point. So if you want to join us and fight immeasurable odds, like the Attack on Titan thing, where you're have like the little tiny Levi person fighting the giant man over here and stuff. If you want to be that guy, or more realistically, you'll be one of the horse guys over here and stuff that just gets a whole bunch of shrapnel and then everything dies. Join us at Aspera or Aspera. Back to the video.
Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target.
We won't fall until gravity is. We've been on this road too long, so long. And I can't stop, we can't stop. I'm so far away from home. We've been on this road too long. Playing with fire. Take me higher. We're on our way. We're on our way. Undivided. We'll ignite it. We're on our way. We're on our way.
Moving low key, but somehow we make a scene. Doing what we gotta do to get from A to B. Pretty handy with the tool, hit you with the beam. When the cane is ball, if it wasn't for the team, I see shit you can't erase. All the things you can't relate. No losing this race. Choices be choosing your fate. Lies and the truth on your face. Real friends you can't replace.
Trust in me that we can make it right again. All we need, got it already. Come with me and we can take the ride. I can feel us burning up right up, playing with fire. Take me higher. We're on our way. We're on our way. Undivided. We'll ignite it. We're on our way. We're on our way. We're going. And no mistakes while we're rolling around town. We just need that crown. You just wanna show out, might be a showdown.
All my friends in the low rider. The low rider is a little higher.
Shields under fire.
That could have gone better.
Let's
But hey, we all have
go!
off days. Maybe next time.
I shot him out of the freaking sky. He was skydiving wrong.
We'll mark one less shithead on the run. Pleasure doing business with you. Well, they're a nasty son of a bitch, huh? I put the bounty back on the wire. Hopefully somebody's back.
Look at my HP here in the top left. You see this? 2 M80s and a dream. Thanks for watching if you got this far in the video. If you like this new format, the silly characters, the storyline, it's something I could do for future videos, and I really enjoyed making it. But if you guys prefer more so like the analysis videos, the brain rot videos, the raw gameplay demonstration all being separated, I'm just as interested in making them sort of those segmented one as well. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I look forward to seeing them. And if you're interested in the SOS network, or if you're wanting training on particular ships or anything like that, have a video idea, let me know. And I'd be happy to either try to give you tips, or if it's one that seems like a general thing that a lot of people be interested in, I might be able to try to create a short or something based on it. So until then, Don't end up like this Guardian QI guy shooting the citrus and stuff. Just like add a little strafe. Watch that DDR Han Solo video. Just I'm straight.